Ah, the spotted sandpiper. This has been called one of the most successful species of birds in the Americas. In fact, all the early naturalists noted how common and widespread this species was, and many of us today are familiar with these delightful little birds that we see from coast to coast into the Arctic from sea level to 14,000 feet. We see them along shorelines and ponds and lakes where we're canoeing and swimming. We see them along the coast when we're walking on the beach. These are amazing birds. I fell in love with spotted sandpipers when I was working in the Peruvian Amazon and feeling very far from home and a little sad and lonely, and I was walking along an extremely remote, isolated river, and all of a sudden a little group of 3 or 4 spotted sandpipers just dropped out of the sky and landed on the sand in front of me, and I just instantly had a feeling of being at home and feeling connected to home through these birds that had flown so far, and I marveled at the migration that a small bird like this can do. I have been in love with these birds ever since, and it's hard not to love them with their really dynamic calling and energetic behavior as you see them along lake shores and shorelines. They will bob constantly, lifting up and down their rear end, sometimes bobbing their heads up and down, and then when they get nervous, they call "Pete, weet, weet," really loudly, and they fly off with stiffly beating wing beats, and then they coast on deeply cupped wings as they try to get away from you. They also have many fascinating life histories. Up until the late 1920s, it was suspected, but still not known, that females are actually dominant in this species. The females are the ones that will call loudly, fight each other, and defend territories in order to gain access to males. They mate with males, lay their eggs, and then pretty much leave males to do all of the nest caring of eggs and young, though females will also help at the nest as well. Look at this bird here. It is hard to tell whether this is a male or female because they look the same. But look at the soft, well-camouflaged colors of this bird with the strong orange bill. They tend to lay their eggs in hollows in the ground that they line with grasses, and as you can see, it is extremely well concealed. Here they are out in the open, though, in the hot sun, and this one is pretty much suffering in the heat of the day. But after a while, the chicks will hatch, and they come out of the egg already teetering and bobbing like they're adults, ready to run. They can already swim and dive, so they're very active. But when the parents give an alarm call, the chicks usually lie down and stay concealed, rather than running off or trying to swim or anything. These birds are also very active in feeding along shorelines. You'll see them. They can move like a cat very slowly as they sneak up on their prey. They can leap up and catch insects on the wing. They can chase after things, and they're always staying with their feet on dry land. They don't like to wade in water, even though they can swim underwater with a flying motion, as if they were flying through the air. But all in all, they're very hyperactive, very energetic birds, and they tend to be very noisy a lot of the time. It's kind of rare to see one sitting on its nest on a shoreline like this. They nest away from the water. This one was several hundred yards from a large river, and the nest was incredibly well concealed. It was almost impossible to see the nest even when you knew where it was, because you saw the bird go to it, and very difficult to see the bird. And it was so well concealed, it was actually very hard to find an angle to set up the camera far enough away that I was not disturbing this bird. But fortunately, it was very cooperative and let me stay for a little while and just collect some footage. I set up the camera and walked away and stayed at a distance until I had the footage I needed, and then I came back, got the camera, and left, and I don't think it disturbed the bird. This was in early June in northern Washington, And I think about a week after I filmed this, the chicks hatched and went right down to the river with the parent.